Right, here we are. It's Thursday evening here in Australia, in West Wyalong. And yeah, plenty been happening. Let me just have a bit of a rant about technologies just for a second. So I have to use a hotspot, right, on the phone. And I've got the phone here and I connect it up and it comes up and it goes, it gives me suggestions like move your device nearer the iOS. It's fucking kissing it, right? It's kissing it. It's having sex with it. It is intimate with it. It is so close, right? But still can't pick it up. What a load of nonsense. And they reckon AI is going to take over the world. I don't think so. Anyway, there you go. We'll talk about AI at another time. So let me tell you. Anyway, so today what happens? I'm in the office by myself, and I met this woman at a pub, and it's not like you think. It's nothing like you think. We were doing a photo shoot for the paper of business women, right? So the business women are in the street taking a picture from the balcony of the pub, and so I do that. And I'm talking to a few of them in the pub afterwards. I'm having a soft drink. I'm not even drinking beer, right? And one of them is telling a story, which is, I'm not going to go into what it is, but it's a really great story. And I said to her, that's great. We should really get that in the paper and we should put it online. It's a brilliant story. I said, why don't you come in the office tomorrow, that's today, and we'll have a chat about it. She said, brilliant. Yeah, I'll do that, definitely. She comes along. I'm the only one there, right? People here, they only work 2 days a week. I'm there every day of the week, obviously. Anyway, sorry about the creaking. It's this chair creaking. I've got to try and keep still and stop the noise. So anyway, she comes in. She's an ebullient person, right? Lively, that means, lively, full of energy and all that stuff. She comes in. I don't really know her, apart from the fact that I've met her briefly in the pub. And as I say, alcohol was not involved. It's not like I had a long conversation with her. And so she sits down and she says, the last time I was here, I was told to take my clothes off and spread my legs. I looked at her. I mean, if it was a porn film, obviously that'd be it, wouldn't it? That'd be it. That's all you need, Well, actually, that's even probably quite elaborate for a porn movie. Not that I watch loads of porn, of course, you understand. But anyway, I was like, right, okay. And she looked at me and she said, this used to be a doctor's surgery. Oh my God. What a relief that is, because I didn't know what I was facing there, Imagine if you tried to take advantage of that and thought, if you were in a porn movie and thought, right, I'll just whip my cock out now. Can you imagine what would have happened then? She probably would have called the police. Anyway, it's quite funny. But it reminded me also of a thing that happened to me in Parramatta. Parramatta is a suburb of Sydney, and they like to think of themselves as, well, I don't know, the second Sydney, but they're not. They're obviously not. Anyway, that's by the by. I was in a lift there because I was working there for a year or so. I was in a lift, and this girl got in, or woman. She was probably in her late 20s, early 30s. And this is probably about 5 years ago. And she had a great dress on. It looked really nice. It was really colourful, And I said to her, nice dress. And she looked at me and she went, you mean nice ass. I was taken aback, just like I was with the woman who wanted to spread her legs and take her clothes off. Well, she didn't, but you know what I mean. I couldn't believe it. I said, no, I mean your dress. She said, you don't. What is the matter with some people? I didn't want to get in a conversation. Thankfully, I got out of the lift at the next stop. I didn't need to get out there, but I did. And that was kind of okay. Anyway, the main thing I wanted to talk about today is about how long you're going to live. Because I think it's ridiculous the way people work it out and think about it. And it came to me because Jeremy Clarkson, now, Clarkson, you know him, right? He's been on Top Gear, then he's on Clarkson's Farm. Clarkson's Farm is pretty good, I reckon. Anyway, I know Clarkson, right? We grew up, if you like, in the motoring industry together. I was an editor of a magazine, a motoring magazine, when Clarkson was, I suppose you'd say, kind of struggling, really. He was working, he had his own motoring agency with a mate of his. His mate, nice bloke, but he had a terrible stutter, right? I made the mistake once. I didn't know this. I'd only talked to Clarkson on the phone, and I made the mistake of asking him if he could go do an interview with a bloke at Renault. Apparently it went on for about 15 hours because he couldn't get the words out, the questions, bit of a problem. Anyway, I was watching Clarkson's Farm. I'm not a good friend of Clarkson's, right? But our paths have crossed. When I was an editor, I got a call one day from a guy on the Sun newspaper. If you live in Britain, you'll know that at the time, this is in the 1980s, early 90s, yeah, mid to late 80s. Um, that was when Clarkson was doing his motoring thing and I was doing my thing. And I'd only write a couple of things for us. He wasn't obviously was just doing his motoring agency thing. Anyway, bloke from the Sun calls me up and he says, and I knew him, because I used to give him stories every now and again that I came across. And he said, "Hey, listen, do you know anybody who could write a motoring column for us?" And I said, "Do you know what? I reckon I do actually." And I recommended Clarkson. And I said to Clarkson, "Listen, they're going to give you a call." And they did. And he got the gig on the Sun. How funny is that looking back? Years later, when I had a couple of kids, well, not me personally, obviously more likely the wife. She had a couple of kids. I just produced them. I helped produce them. Yeah, I did my bit. Anyway, we won't go down there. But what happened was when we had the kids, two boys, they're 18 and 21 now, and what we decided was that the wife would go back to work, and that I would look after the kids, right? Because I was doing freelance work and I was doing quite well with that at the time. So obviously I was having to take them to what do you call it? The thing where you get together and you play with all the other kids and the mums. Well, you don't play with the mums, obviously, but you play with the kids and the mums get together. And there was me as well with all these mothers. Sometimes they'd be talking about how their nipples are swollen and all of that from child, breastfeeding. It was embarrassing. I never had that issue, obviously. Anyway, what happened one day was I was telling one of the women about this, about Clarkson, the background and all this. And she said, "Oh my God." So there you go. She said, "Clarkson now, he's a well-known person. He's a household name. He's on TV all the time. He's on Top Gear. And here's you with the childcare group." And I said, "Yeah." And I sat down at the piano and I started playing the piano. And I said, "But Clarkson can't play the piano." And I played "Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round." I managed to do that. And yeah, that about says it all. Anyway, point is about this. So I saw there was an interview with Clarkson in the Guardian, and he said they asked him what he was going to do in the future, and he said, "Well, I reckon I've got 70,000 hours left." Oh my God, I hate people who do this. So he's actually sat down, and we're the same kind of age. I'm actually 2 years older than him. Oh, I should have said younger, shouldn't I? Anyway, we're similar age. I never sit down and think about that sort of nonsense. Why would you do that, right? So you've sat down and you worked out you've got 70,000 hours left if you're lucky. And extrapolate that into years, because he must have done that, right? He would have worked it out. It's like 8 and a bit years or something stupid like that. Pardon me. Why would you do that, right? And the other thing is, and it's building up to some of this, right? Stick with it. The other thing is with it is, so there's a bloke I used to know and who I worked for, and he owned this public relations company, John Smales. Lovely guy. Tough though, tough as nails. Anyway, he ran this company, and it was interesting because it was a PR company, but he ran it like a newspaper because he was a journalist. And he had many, many jobs, very, very experienced. But if anybody ever said to him, "What is your job?" he'd say, "I'm a journalist," which I kind of like. It's a kind of good thing. But he said to me one day, this is many years ago, between 20 years ago now. He's still around, right? He said to me, well, I worked out I probably only got about 15 summers left. Well, obviously he was wrong about that anyway. Why would you sit and think about this, right? I think it's tempting fate. Now, I'm sitting here talking to you about this. Maybe all of a sudden now my life will end and I'll slump forward on the computer, on the keyboard, and type out something ridiculous. And it'll go viral, won't it? It'll go viral. But I won't be there to see it, unfortunately. But anyway, here's the thing. Do not think about this nonsense. What the hell is the point of thinking, "Oh, I'm not going to be here. I've got 8 years. I've got 70,000 hours. I've got, 15 summers. Oh my God, just get on with it. And I think there's a good reason for that, for getting on with it, right? Paul McCartney, he's still around. Him and Ringo, I was about to say he's the only Beatle left, but there's Ringo Starr as well, isn't there? But he was just the drummer, wasn't he, really? What did he contribute? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, Ringo. I shouldn't be like that about it. But anyway, the point is, Paul McCartney keeps working, right? He's super wealthy. He must be, right? He's absolutely super wealthy, but he keeps working. He keeps doing stuff. Somebody asked him, an interviewer asked him, why? Are you going to retire soon? He said, retirement is next to expirement. I probably pronounced that wrong. But anyway, I think that's absolutely right. I do totally agree with that. I think if you slow down, if you sit down, you get the slippers on a bit too often. I mean, let's face it, we need them. It's cold in the winter. But if you get them on a bit too often and then you stay in the slippers and you don't do too much and your brain is not working, that is the danger, right? I think if I keep talking, I can probably carry on forever, right? As long as nobody interrupts me. Anyway, the other thing is Clint Eastwood, 93 now, right? He celebrated his 93rd birthday recently. He was still directing, probably still is. He was still directing into his late 80s. This is the best thing. Somebody said to him, similar question, why do you keep on? How do you manage to keep on? How do you manage to keep working and all of this? And you know what? He looked at them probably in a Dirty Harry kind of a way, and he said, "Don't let the old man in." That was his thing, right? Don't let the old man in. And it's true. I meet quite a few people in my job. They're younger than me, right? And I say, how's it going? They go, oh, I've got all these aches and pains. Well, maybe they have, but I've got all these aches and pains, and I don't know, I'm just tired, and maybe, I don't have that long left. Jesus Christ, pull yourself together. Just carry on doing what you're doing. Now, the day's going to come, the day's going to come. I realise that's getting closer and closer. There's an old thing about it. I do kind of feel, though, that maybe they'll come up with something and I'll kind of live forever. I kind of find that could be a good thing and it may well work. I don't know. Anyway, my point is about all of this stuff, from taking your clothes off, spreading your legs, having a great arse, is just keep engaging, right? Keep talking, keep thinking about things, keep doing things, and keep lively, and don't let the old man in. I reckon that's the trick. Okay. Anyway, there you go. So look, we've survived till the end of it, and it's kind of good news. But I would have liked it to have gone viral. Anyway, there you go. All right. So let's look. Nobody's listening to this. Nobody's watching it, right? Anyway, I'm not going to stop doing it. So hopefully somebody comes on there sooner or later and goes, "Oh, that's really good. We should sign him up or a major contract on TV." I don't know where I got that accent from. It's kind of like a New Zealand kind of bogan type accent. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, all right. Look, you have a good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and yeah, we'll talk again tomorrow. I'll be here every single day. Take care, and like I say, take care.